Hello everyone, I am MD and this is the fourth branch program, The Place for Common Sense. Welcome. Today we take a look at a very important topic which should be of concern to any American: the healthcare system. There are two major expenses that we would do in life. One is most likely to buy a house, and the other, if we're not lucky, is to pay for healthcare expenses. Before Obamacare, the insurance companies, if you take a look at historical record, have always been very successful, have always been very profitable. And the reason is really pretty simple. They charge exorbitant amount of money, premium that is, and they try as best as humanly possible to avoid paying for the cost of care. And God forbid you suffer of some terminal illness or a loved one, you most likely will be out of luck. And there are many examples of unhappy ending. When Obama became president of the United States, you may not recall, his priority, or at least one of his priorities, was to make certain as many people as possible in the United States of America has healthcare coverage. You would say everybody should be on board with that. Nobody should have a problem with that. But as we know, that's not really what happened. Since the day that Obama delegated the detail of the Patient Protection Affordable Care Act to Congress to hash out the details, Republicans across the nation have been in a campaign first to prevent that legislation from being passed, and once passed, to try as much as humanly possible to destroy it. The question is why? Why would legislators whose primary job is to attend to the well-being of their constituent decide to oppose a legislation which proposes to provide exactly that to the constituent? Now, there are many arguments, and you probably over the years heard a lot of the Republicans' argument as to why they oppose Obamacare. In case you were sleeping, you may recall during the time that this particular legislation was being debated in Congress, Republicans had a lot of campaigning on the street, and there were a lot of lobbyists paying, especially those who benefit of nobody able to get insurance when you are ill, and if you have pre-existing condition, in order for you to get insurance, you would have to pay an arm and a leg, meaning it was extremely expensive to get insurance. So those insurance companies, they spend a great deal of money to have a lot of people on the street protesting against the passage of the Patient Protection Affordable Care Act. Our society is callous, indifferent, but even worse, pretty stupid. Now, because Congress was in the hands of the Democrat, and of course the executive branch was in the hands of the Democrat, it was not at all difficult to get the Patient Protection Affordable Care Act passed, now known as Obamacare. And on March 23rd, 2010, Mr. Obama signed the act, and officially Obamacare was born. In the next few years, or the remaining years of Obama's tenure as President of the United States, Republicans, all of the Republicans, voted 62 times to repeal Obamacare. 62 times. And even beyond Obama's presidency, now during the Trump presidency, they already voted twice to repeal the legislation. The question is, again, why? Why would your Republican legislators, whose primary job is to ensure your well-being, to make certain that you are protected physically, you are well taken care of, and yet for over a decade now they have been on the side of doing something that would unequivocally harm you, harm your loved one. Now, Republicans have a lot of argument as to why they don't want Obamacare. And they made that clear for 6 years during the Obama administration, and now for 2 years during the Trump administration. Now, everybody knows, regardless of what it is, once you bring something new to the table, whether it's in the government, such as a legislation, or even technology, no matter what the technology is, whatever that you bring to the surface that's new, there is always going to be a need to fine-tune it, to fix problems until it becomes a better product. Obamacare is not any different. But the question is, why do your Republican legislators want to kill a legislation that provides support, that provides coverage, that provides protection to people? As I mentioned at the top, the two major expenses you may have in life is to buy a house, and the second is healthcare expenses. Now, healthcare expenses come especially when you most need it, meaning at a time that you fall sick, there is some major problem that require really major medical intervention. At that point, that's when you realize that you need health insurance. At every step of the way, Republicans say, no, we don't want Obamacare. Now, notwithstanding the fact, because there are two aspects to the discussion, and I'm going to show you. First, I'm going to introduce to you what exactly you get. What is Obamacare? The major aspect of the legislation. Second, I'm going to show to you that, and I've been saying that in this program almost on a regular basis, that your Republican legislators, they do not care about you. They do not care about what happened to you. The only concern that they have is to keep their job, and they will do anything necessary to do that. As such, they always create a straw man. They always make sure that you fight the Democrats, no matter what it is, because the very reason that Republicans try to repeal Obamacare is not because they found Obamacare so bad, and I'm going to prove that to you. It's because it was created, it was provided, it was introduced by a Democrat, and they cannot stand the idea of having a solution for the constituent that's provided by a Democrat. As such, they try everything humanly possible to put an end to it, to kill it, and in the process to harm you. Literally speaking. I will prove that to you today with example that your Republican legislators, they not working for your well-being. They don't care about your well-being. Of course, they tell you differently. They tell you they don't want Obamacare because it costs too much money. They tell you they don't want Obamacare because it's not sustainable. They have a lot of arguments. They call it socialism. As far as argument, there is no lack of it. We're going to take the next 2 days to talk about this particular topic because it is extremely important. Because your health is crucial. Your health is important, especially if you have children, you have grandchildren, and you ought to be around to enjoy your health, to have a good life, and yet you have your Republican representative who are in a campaign to make certain that it doesn't happen. And one thing that Republican legislators are very good at is marketing, because they can tell you, and I'm going to show that to you as well, because they can tell you everything that they think you will accept because it's coming from a Republican, and in the process rally support so that whatever that they have in mind they can do until it's too late for you to find out they were lying to you, to find out they were deceiving you. Usually you could say that with time you may recover from it, but there are some deception that you may never recover from. Imagine you suffer of some very serious disease, serious illness, or a loved one, and your Republican representative, and there are examples of such, tell you that Obamacare is bad, you shouldn't have it, will bring you something better. You believe them, and your loved one suffer until you lose your loved one. Only at that point that you realize that your Republican legislators lied to you. Yes, there are some situations you cannot recover from. So I'm here today to detail for you why I strongly believe that your Republican legislators, they deliberately lie. And the reason that they lie is because it benefits them, because they side with large corporations, in this case with insurance companies, and they believe that in time when they need money for campaign financing, they're going to get the bulk of the money from those companies. As far as you, the constituent, are concerned, they can tell you anything and you will accept it, you will believe them, and you will continue to vote for them in office. So they have a win-win situation. They cater to the insurance company and they cater to you. The insurance company wins, you lose. but you voted for them anyway and you keep them in office. That's why you may have received this alert before this program that says your health is on the ballot in 2020. And this is not something to take lightly, because literally speaking, your health is on the ballot. And we'll come back right after an announcement to show you how much, how deliberate, how callous, how indifferent Republican legislators are when it comes to keeping their job, but harming their constituent in the process. And this is not something you should just shrug off, because if it's not you, you could be young today, but you're not gonna stay young forever. You can have parents that getting old, that will get sicker, grandparents, and all that should be an alert for you to start thinking not in terms of Democrat or Republican, but in terms of what is better for you, what is better for your family. And if that is where you're at, stay with me. We'll come right back to show you that your Republican legislators, they just do not care. I'll be right back.
After reading several books based on presidents and on Obama specifically, I found that they're typically partisan. The Obama legacy targets the heart of the issue by giving credit to the president where it's due, but definitely coming down hard on Obama on his bigger failures, like his handling of the Syrian crisis.
If you are in college, going to college, you are an educator, a faculty member, or someone with interest in government or politics, The Obama Legacy is definitely a book to read.
My professor recommended The Obama Legacy.
A friend actually recommended The Obama Legacy.
I would highly recommend this book for anyone, whether for academic use or leisure reading.
I would recommend this book to anyone out there searching for an impartial and unbiased look into Barack Obama's tenure as president.
I would definitely recommend this book as a good read for both liberals and conservatives.
In 2017, at a town hall held by CNN, during which time that Republicans were trying, at that time Paul Ryan was still Speaker of the House, and Republicans were trying for the last time to do a last-ditch effort in order to get rid of Obamacare. And Paul Ryan, the Speaker, along with Mitch McConnell and a number of Republicans, were out there campaigning to tell people, please support our effort. We want to get rid of Obamacare. And I'm going to show you a clip of this conversation. I let the whole clip play. It is 4 minutes in length. And here's the gist of the clip. There was a gentleman in the audience, that was a town hall style. A gentleman in the audience, remember that all the Republicans out there, they were having town hall meeting and explaining to the audience, explaining to people across the nation that they want to get rid of Obamacare because it's bad. It's bad. You may recall during the Obama's tenure as president, they spent really their time, their money, their resources on the street saying Obamacare is death panel, Obamacare is gonna kill job, and there was argument after argument. At some point, when they realized that nothing that they said was helping killing the legislation, they say, well, Obamacare is gonna just fall on its own. It's so bad, it's gonna just die on its own. Now, here is the clip. A gentleman, he's a businessman and a Republican. Now, let's listen to what he said about his particular predicament, and we'll come on the other side to talk about this very situation.
I was a Republican and I worked for the Reagan and Bush campaigns. Just like you, I was opposed to the Affordable Care Act. When it was passed, I told my wife we would close our business before I complied with this law. Then, at 49, I was given 6 weeks to live with a very curable type of cancer. We offered 3 times the cost of my treatments, which was rejected. They required an insurance card. Thanks to the Affordable Care Act, I'm standing here today alive. Being both a small business person and someone with pre-existing conditions, I rely on the Affordable Care Act to be able to purchase my own insurance. Why would you repeal the Affordable Care Act without a replacement?
Oh, we wouldn't do that. We want to replace it with something better. We believe that state high-risk pools are a smarter way of guaranteeing coverage for people with pre-existing conditions. We had a really good one in Wisconsin. Utah had a great one. I was talking with a congresswoman from Washington today who was telling me how good their state high-risk pool is. What I mean when I say this is about 8% of all the people under 65 have that kind of pre-existing condition. My mother-in-law, cancer, she had melanoma in her 20s, breast cancer in her 50s, ovarian cancer in her 60s. People just have these things. And we don't want people to go poor or go bankrupt because this thing happens to them. So we obviously want to have a system where they can get affordable coverage without going bankrupt because they get sick. But we can do that without destroying the rest of the healthcare system for everybody else. That's the point I'm trying to make. What we should have done was fix what was broken in healthcare without breaking what was working in healthcare, and that's what, unfortunately, Obamacare did. So, by financing state high-risk pools to guarantee people get affordable coverage when they have a pre-existing condition like yourself, what you're doing is you're dramatically lowering the price of insurance for everybody else. So if we say, let's just as taxpayers, and I agree with this.
Okay, I think you get the gist. Republicans want to, as Ryan just mentioned to you, looking at that clip, that Republicans agree that they have to have a replacement. You remember that Obama passed the Healthcare Act in 2010. Since then, Republicans have been trying to repeal Obamacare. During the Trump administration, they tried twice, and here was Paul Ryan trying to explain to someone who just mentioned that had it not been for Obamacare, he would have died, literally, because whatever he offered the insurance company to pay as premium, they said absolutely not, because he has an illness, cancer, that they know they're going to spend a lot of money trying to treat him. They say it doesn't matter what you give us, you can die as far as we are concerned. Now Ryan is trying to tell the gentleman, and of course the nation, that yes, we have something better. Where is it? If you ask. In fact, Republicans used to lie about that fact that they have something to replace Obamacare. Now, just a couple of days ago, Donald Trump made it very clear that they don't have anything. But once they repeal Obamacare, they will come with something better, something much better. Now, while they coming with something much better, you lose parents, you lose loved one, you lose your own life, because Republican will come with something better as soon as they get rid of Obamacare. Let me say it as bluntly as I can. Republicans do not care about you. Republicans do not care about constituents. And here's the reason I say that. I'm going to give you, not only give you the reason, but I'm going to give you proof that it indeed the case. For all this time that Republicans have been talking about repealing Obamacare. Now, if indeed they did believe that it's bad and it needed to be replaced by something better, what do you think would be the most likely action to take? Would be for all the Republicans to gather, just like they did for the tax cut. Remember, they wanted to give a tax cut to the wealthy. It didn't take them long. Trump was elected in January of was sworn in rather in January of 2017. By February, they already have a legislation with $1.5 trillion tax cut for the wealthy. So if they really wanted to do that, they could and they would. It's because they're lying to their constituent and they simply want you to support their effort to get rid of Obamacare and then leave you exactly to where you were before Obamacare. That you can take to the bank. And the reason for that is because, as I mentioned earlier, is because they're getting paid by the insurance companies and they want to make certain that the insurance company always win. Because I'm going to show you what Obamacare does, why they so much want to get rid of it for the insurance company. Because in the past, just like you just heard the gentleman, it doesn't matter what you would pay the insurance company. If you have pre-existing condition, such as cancer, they will not insure you. And there is no amount of money that you can spend to save your life, because you can only spend so much. It's a high intensive, expensive care, and you need coverage for that. At a time when insurance company would say no way, but Obamacare prevent that from happening. Now, the reason I know Republicans in general, I'm not talking about a few, I'm not talking about some, Republicans in general, they do not care about their constituent, because they prove that every legislation, look, any legislation you want, and you will see unequivocally that Republicans are good at making argument against something, but as far as providing solution, there is none. Because for 10 years they've been talking about getting rid of Obamacare, but they've been promising there's going to be something better. Well, the way for you to talk about something better is by showing what that is, and let us see that better so that we can choose it over what currently is here. But there is nothing. They simply want you, trust me, as soon as we get rid of Obamacare, we'll give you something better. But we know that Republicans, they really very indifferent towards your health. They do not care if you die. And the reason I say that is because I'm going to show you right now that that's indeed the case. You see how Paul Ryan just answered to someone who just proved that he had a problem, a terminal illness, that had it not been for the Obamacare coverage, he would have kissed his life goodbye. Because the insurance company says, I don't care how much you decide to pay for premium, we're just not going to take it. Now, one thing in particular, I want you to pay close attention to what the guy said. He's a businessman, and he said that as a Republican, he would have preferred to close his business instead of accepting Obamacare. Now, where did he get that idea? How did he get to that point to make a decision like that? It's because Republican legislators were feeding wrong information about Obamacare, and because of that, most Republicans believe that Obamacare was bad. Not because it was bad, but because Republican legislators, they were in a campaign to prove that Obamacare was bad. Now, here's example number one, that they know they were lying, they were deceiving their constituent. And deceiving your constituent on something that's so important, their health, their lives, should not be considered as politics. Because as I mentioned before, there is a difference between politics and deception. When someone deceives you, it's not politics, because a deception of such could take your life, could take your loved one's lives. That's deception. Now, remember, Obamacare was so bad, it was a death panel. Obamacare was going to kill jobs. Obamacare was so bad that it was going to die on its own. I mean, the list went on and on. Republican legislators wasted their time, the taxpayers' money, and voted 62 times to repeal it. That's how bad they say it is. Now, here's one example that they were lying to you. During the 2018 midterm election, remember that? Yes, last November. Most Republicans who were up for re-election realized that now most constituents in the United States not only become aware of the fact that Obamacare is good, saving lives, but also protecting them against insurance company refusing to provide them insurance. So now the story is out. Republican constituents are getting aware of it. That's the way it has always been. It wasn't any different. Since 2010, that's the way it's been. But Republican legislators were lying to their constituents to prevent them from signing up for Obamacare. So for that many years, constituents thought that was the case, including that guy you just saw on the video, because he was fed information that told him that Obamacare is bad. So he said he would rather close his business instead of accepting Obamacare. That's how misinformed that guy was. He would rather close the business, the same business that helped him to pay for his mortgage, the same business that helped him send his kids to school, the same business that helped him keep his family together. He would rather close it than accepting Obamacare until he gets to the information, to the right information, and understand that Obamacare is actually good for him and Obamacare saved his life. See how bad your Republican legislators are? Had that guy not found out on his own that Obamacare could save his life, today he would have been dead, courtesy of your Republican legislators. And they know they were lying to the constituent, because in the 2018 midterm election, all those Republicans up for re-election, what did they run on? That they will protect you against pre-existing condition. They will make certain that your children who are 26 years and younger are under your insurance care. They will make sure that you are not charged an arm and a leg by insurance companies. Guess what? All of those things are in Obamacare. So if Obamacare was that bad, why all of a sudden those Republicans running to keep all those aspects of Obamacare? The answer is very simple. They don't care about you. The only reason they were saying that is because they realize they want to keep their job. So by telling you that's what they're going to do, you would elect them back in office, and when they get back in office, all they're going to do exactly the same thing they've been doing all along for 10 years is work to get rid of Obamacare. Yes, Republican legislators, your Republican legislators, they don't care about your health, they don't care about your life, they just care enough to tell you what they want to do, and as long as you believe them, you vote for them, and they screw you up. As we are talking today, in the courtroom, there is argument by the Trump administration to get rid of Obamacare. Now, think about that. Your Republican legislators have been fighting for 10 years to get rid of Obamacare. 2018 midterm election comes and they tell you, if you vote for me, we'll work hard to keep your Obamacare. And yet, as we're talking about this today, the Trump administration legal team in the courtroom making argument to get rid of Obamacare. Now that's example number one, to show you how much Republicans simply don't care. And if you value your life, if you value your health, I strongly urge you in the 2020 election to choose wisely, because this is what's going to be on the ballot. Your health is going to be on the ballot. When we return, I will give you another personal example that clearly brings it home for you to understand how your Republican legislators, if it is your life, it does not matter. But if it is theirs, it's a whole different ball game. So they fight for the insurance company because they want the insurance company to refuse you coverage, because who cares you die? Who cares your loved one dies? As long as they satisfy the insurance company, and as long as you continue to vote for them to stay in office, that's all that matters to them. And they proving it. They've been proving it for 10 years now. Sometimes I ask myself the question, how stupid can someone be to keep swallowing the lies, the deception that someone clearly is throwing at you on a regular basis? How ignorant can someone be? How ignorant does someone have to be? I'm going to show you, give you an example of an actual Republican, an actual example, and show you that they actually do not care about you. They do not care about your health. They do not care about your life. The $1.5 trillion tax cut was not for you, was for the wealthy. The repealing of Obamacare is not because they have something better. It's not because they want something better for you. It's because it will benefit the insurance company, and that's all that matters. You see, 1.5 trillion tax cut for the wealthy, for the large corporation. The repealing of Obamacare, good for the insurance company. It's not about you, and it's never gonna be about you when it comes to your Republican legislators. Yes, they good at telling you how great they trying to do something for you, and they telling you all the bad things about what they trying to rally support for. But get them to bring something better. That's never gonna happen, because that's not in the DNA of Republican legislature to do anything for their constituent. Watch this space. We'll be right back. Ignorance, they say, is the biggest threat to any democracy. Indeed, it is. Plato, a Greek philosopher born in 427 BC, said that ignorance is the root and stem of all evil. Today, members in the Republican Party wear ignorance as a badge of honor, while the rest of the country watch powerless the destruction of a country which was once the envy of the world. The media is the enemy of the country, said Donald Trump. The Democrat legislators are obstructionists for not going along with everything the president wants. The Department of Justice is biased for investigating corruption in the Trump administration. This is the United States of America. Any question? Donald Trump is wrong to call the media the enemy of the people. Throughout history, dictators, authoritarians have always tried to delegitimize the media in order to get away with corruption, scandal, and yes, even abuse. Adolf Hitler did exactly the same thing in 1933, accusing the media of fabrication. Journalists are not in the business of fairness. Our only business, is to be objective. It is our duty to hold Trump and every administration accountable. Today, it is urgent. It is necessary. It is critical. Our very freedom depends on it. If you join us for the first time, welcome. We have been doing this program for the past few months, and we have more than 500 videos currently archived on the People Branch YouTube channel, which talk about really a whole array of topics. I would encourage you to visit the People Branch YouTube channel by following the step on the screen, and you can browse through the videos, or you can search for specific topics. And while you're there, I would strongly encourage you to subscribe to the People Branch YouTube channel, to subscribe to your specific venue, Twitter, Facebook, Periscope, whichever venue that you're most familiar with or you go to on a regular basis. I strongly suggest you subscribe to that venue so that we can send you invites, updates, and we can keep you abreast of what's going on with the fourth branch activities. I hope this program is bringing you information that you can use very, very soon in your own life. We'll be right back. When Obamacare was introduced, there were 23 states, mostly states run by Republicans, which opted out of Obamacare. 23 states. Now, I have many stories of people who have suffered because of that, because insurance company refused coverage, insurance company denied coverage, insurance company put a cap on coverage, and so on and so forth. So those states, before we move to the actual example that we're about to give you, those states were Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Georgia, Indiana, Kansas, Louisiana, Maine, Missouri, Montana, Nebraska, New Hampshire, New Jersey, North Dakota, Ohio, Oklahoma, South Carolina, South Dakota, Tennessee, Texas, Virginia, Wisconsin, and Wyoming. Those states, people in those states, they suffer serious setback because the governors in those states decided not to accept the exchange of Obamacare, and the constituent, without the constituent having any say so, they just cut them off. Now, here's the most interesting aspect of this conversation: the hypocrisy of the Republican legislators who were out there in full force telling you Obamacare is bad. First, it was going to kill grandma, death panel. It was going to kill job. It's going to die on its own. And the argument went on and on and on. All the Republicans, all of them, voted against Obamacare 62 times. During Obama, twice. During the current president. If Obamacare is so bad, why did those Republicans who were up for re-election all of a sudden tell you they want to save it? Why? Because if something is bad, it's bad. There is no if and but about that, because if something is bad for you, it's bad for you, regardless of the circumstance. For instance, the FDA tells you that smoking cigarette may eventually give you cancer. So it doesn't matter whether it's today, tomorrow, or the next century, it's bad for you. But your Republican legislators, because they were on the side of the insurance company, they keep telling you, they keep giving you argument that it's bad for you, to the point that people believe them. That gentleman that was on the tape talking to Paul Ryan, that gentleman that you're currently looking at, talking to Ryan, that gentleman also was completely against Obamacare. He even said it that he would rather close his business than accepting Obamacare. Why? Because the information that Republicans passed to their constituents were deception. Not because it's one thing, if you pass me information, I can decide what to do with it. But when you lie to me, I'm making my decision based on your lies, on your deception. And that's what Republicans did for a decade to their constituents. But fortunately, for some of those constituents, they save their lives. But I do have example. As I mentioned, this is going to be for the next two days. We're going to be talking about this. We'll bring you example of people who did not have that opportunity to stay alive because the Republican legislators lied to them. They trusted them, they believed them, and they end up losing their lives because they could not get access to care. Yes, you may be a Republican, but I can tell you that we can go as far back as possible to show you that Republican legislators, they've always been lying to their constituents because all they care about is to say something that keep the support of their constituent. And at the same time, look at what Donald Trump is doing now, telling you that he's going to have a good health care for you. But he doesn't have anything yet, but he's already in the court fighting to put an end to Obamacare. Yes, Republicans do not care about you. You may not want to hear it, but that is the truth. Now, here's an example. That guy is a Republican legislator, Costa Mesa, from Costa Mesa. Now that guy, he voted against Obamacare 8 times. Why is it important for you to know? Well, I'm glad you asked. Now that guy cannot stand Obamacare, or could not, I should say, stand Obamacare. And the reason is very simple. It's bad for you. Until he found out that his little daughter, Anika, had leukemia. All of a sudden, he's in a pickle. Pre-existing condition. What do you think it did? Can you take a guess what it did? So Obamacare is so bad that he voted against it. But when he found out that his daughter has pre-existing condition, leukemia, then suddenly he needs Obamacare, obviously, because the treatment of leukemia is pretty expensive. So if it's that bad, why not let your daughter die? I mean, I don't want to sound callous as the Republican legislators, because that's exactly what they are. If you have a family member dying, they don't care, because as far as they are concerned, they want to kill the very insurance that can help you stay alive until they too are affected. So Obamacare is that bad. Why not let Anika die? He voted 8 times to repeal Obamacare because, well, it didn't matter to him. It did not matter to him because it was somebody else's kid. It was somebody else's life. So as far as he was concerned, hey, tough luck. I don't care that you die. I don't care that you're Republican. I don't care that you're Democrat. It just doesn't matter, because his job is to protect the insurance company until he finds out that his daughter, Anika, has pre-existing condition. You see the problem? Your Republican legislators, they do not care about you. They do not care about your health. They do not care about your life. They simply do not care. We will continue this conversation, obviously, because we have to show you what you get from Obamacare and why you should fight not for the Republican Party, but you should fight for what's good for you, for what's good for your family. And if that means to get rid of your Republican legislators because they are crook and scoundrel, because who does that? You're trying to take away from others what can save their lives, but when it is yours or your family's, all of a sudden you see things differently. So if Obamacare is that bad, then let Anika die. That's as simple as that. Because Obamacare is bad. So it doesn't matter who is dying, does it? Oh no, not for Dana Rohrabacher, because it's his daughter. He wants to protect his daughter. But your life does not matter to him. Because it's your life, not his family's. So yes, you need to to choose wisely in 2020. Because otherwise, you will find it's not just healthcare, it's not just debt, national debt, but it's everything in life that Republican takes the side of those who already have, takes the side of a large corporation, takes the side of wealthy organization, because those are the people that give them money so that they can mudsling their opponent and rally support. And guess who is going to give them that support? You. We'll be right back. In 1996, a small network by the name of Fox News was launched with just 17 million viewers. Today, with over 100 million people watching regularly, Fox has become the greatest threat to our democracy, constantly bombarding the airwaves with false information, distortion of facts, and outright lies presented to its audience as news. Fox has created an army of blissful ignorance. According to a survey, 82% of Fox viewers are ignorant of facts and the truth. To keep millions of people in ignorance not only prevents democracy from flourishing, but it also clears the path to authoritarianism, to dictatorship. Martin Luther King Jr. said, "Nothing in all the world is more dangerous than sincere ignorance and conscientious stupidity." Let me finish by saying that democracy cannot survive in an environment where truth and facts do not matter. At Fox, truth and facts do not matter. Indeed, democracy in America is in jeopardy. It is a crisis the country can no longer ignore. Is your healthcare coverage safe? Join me tomorrow when we continue this conversation about the importance of preserving what is good for you and get rid of what is not. Nobody claims, not even Obama, claimed that healthcare act that he passed under fondly named Obamacare is great. As I mentioned at the top of the program, that any new aspect of anything that comes, technology, product, service, will have its shortcomings. And it is okay, because that's how we human, that's how we evolve, that's how we progress. As such, it is no doubt that Obamacare has its flaws. But one must also recognize that Obamacare actually provides coverage, provides insurance for a lot of people who would not have the opportunity to have it otherwise. And many, just like the individual you saw on the video earlier, would not have been around had it not been for Obamacare. He says so himself. And yet, Republican legislators have tried everything humanly possible not to kill Obamacare, to deny millions of people with access to coverage. It boggles the mind, because why would the very individual you elected in office to make your life easier would try so hard to make it more miserable? So 2020, your health is on the ballot. So you would need to choose wisely. Join me tomorrow when we continue the conversation about, is your healthcare coverage safe? Not if it depends on the Republicans. If you have questions, suggestions, comments, criticism, please do not hesitate to contact us. And should you have a particular topic you would like us to talk about, let us know. We will research it. We will debate it right here on the Fourth Branch program, the place for common sense. In the meantime, I hope you have a wonderful afternoon. Good day.
The Fourth Branch podcast is brought to you in collaboration with the People Branch publication, which can be found on the People Branch website, located at peoplebranch.org. That's peoplebranch.org. That's peoplebranch.org website, in which you will find a number of very interesting articles. My name is Mike Duchesne, MD for short. I hope you have a great afternoon or a great evening, whichever it happens to be. Hopefully you can join me again next time for another interesting episode of this podcast. That was the Fourth Branch, live from New York. Good day.